Welcome to my channel, the Leila Medat Show. Please kindly follow, subscribe, like, comment and share, and let others be entertained. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Sexual harassment has become the order of the day, and today we, the youth of Ghana, are saying no to sexual harassment. Someone will ask what sexual harassment is. Simply put, sexual harassment is an unwelcomed behavior that results in someone feeling very uncomfortable. We find that in a lot of schools, in a lot of workplaces. Why should that be so? A lot of people in my part of the country thinks that it's cool to touch someone, it's cool to pass comments that are not welcoming. Please, the very moment someone says no, you have to stop it. The very moment you keep doing it repeatedly, that constitutes sexual harassment. No matter how someone dresses, no matter how someone exposes themselves, that should not push you to sexually harass them. So today, let's listen to our guys, let's listen to our men for their concerns. Please, teachers, you are parents in our schools, protect our kids. Bosses, please protect your workers, protect your subordinates. The very moment someone says, I don't like it, I don't feel comfortable, you have to put a stop to it. So today, we are saying that no to sexual harassment. Hello. So as I said, today we are talking about sexual harassment in the workplace. So I think we'll just discuss what sexual harassment is. So my dear, if you say sexual harassment, what comes to mind?
Okay, so sexual harassment, I think there are actions and also inactions of someone that can put someone in an uncomfortable situation, especially at the workplace. So it can be your actions or even your inactions that can actually affect the mood of someone or make someone at the workplace in an uncomfortable position, like putting the person in an uncomfortable position.
Okay, so which people are normally harassed? Is it just women or men are also inclusive?
Okay, so sexual harassment can actually affect both men and women,
Okay.
but I think the statistics shows that women are likely to be harassed at the workplace, and even sometimes the sexual harassment even starts even before the person enters the workplace. So a lot of females, young females who are seeking for employment, sometimes they are being harassed or they are being abused before they are even accepted at the workplace. So it can even start even before the person is recruited at the workplace.
In the organization. Okay, so if you say normally it starts before you're even recruited at the workplace, what do you mean?
I mean that the process of recruiting someone.
Okay.
So now in Ghana, there's a lot of unemployed young females outside. So most of them too are also desperate to also get something doing. So in the recruitment processes, the managers or the employers can sometimes take advantage of the vulnerable females, sleep with them before they get them the jobs that they want.
Okay, so what normally constitutes sexual harassment? Is it because you mentioned earlier that unemployment, a lot of you, but then would you also attribute how ladies dress to also causing sexual harassment?
Okay, so I can say there are push factors.
Okay.
So the push factors are what the females, the dresses the females put on.
Okay.
But there are sometimes too the males. I'll say males take advantage of the situation of the females.
Okay.
So it can be in both directions. The females can sometimes put themselves in that position for them to be harassed, especially when they need favors from their employers. But sometimes too, it's the situation of the females that makes them to be harassed.
Okay, so have you experienced any of these sexual harassment cases in your organization? If yes, how were these cases addressed? Do you have
Pers-
channels? Do you have departments that caters for these harassment cases?
So personally, I've not encountered any issue of sexual harassment at the workplace.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also because sexual harassment is an emerging issue.
Okay.
It hasn't been with us. It's now something that the trade unions are actually pushing for. Yeah,
Okay.
so it could be that it has happened, but because a lot of people weren't sensitized, they
Okay.
didn't know this constitutes sexual harassment.
Okay.
Yeah, but the TUC Secretariat, we have the women's and gender decks, which takes issues like this into consideration. But they are also sensitizing a lot of both females and males on sexual harassment. I think the ILO has a convention on that. I don't really know the convention number. There's now advocacy on the ILO convention on sexual harassment. So I think now the education is going on gradually.
Okay.
So people are now getting now getting to know what constitutes sexual harassment.
And all that.
Yeah, and all
Okay.
that, yeah.
So, what advice or what would you tell someone or a victim who is currently going through sexual harassment? Because mostly, before you report these cases, you should have a proof. And if you don't have proof, reporting it becomes very difficult. Even sometimes when you have proof, you are even scared to report it because of what people will say, the culture, and all that. So, what advice? What do you have to tell anybody going through, sexual harassment case right now, be it even not just in the organization, home, because there are even a lot of people who are staying with their stepdad, step parents, and they are also being sexually harassed.
Okay, so at the workplace, I will first say that there should be a unit at the workplace where such issues can be channeled, so that when there's an issue like that, the lady knows where to go. So the lady doesn't really have to get approved before the person can report. So if the person feels some actions of probably his boss or an employer, or the inactions of his boss or employer is affecting him, or is in a way putting her in an uncomfortable situation, the lady can actually report. So there should be an office or a desk where such channels can be such issues can be channeled. Yeah, so that's my first recommendation, that there should be an office for that.
Okay.
And then I also encourage the ladies that when anytime they are faced with such issues, they should be bold and then come out and talk to someone, yeah, about it, so that they are not being taken advantage of.
Don't you think that sometimes it's because of how these cases are handled? That is how come most people are not bold to come out to report. Because let's say if I'm a lady and I've been sexually harassed by my boss, I know that if I should go out there and even tell a colleague or a friend, they may start, gossiping about it, saying things that are not even true. So don't you think that sometimes what people say sometimes push the victims backwards? Like they are very scared to bring it out. So what advice? What can you say if someone, because if you can't report in your because even sometimes the person that you are supposed to report to, they are even the ones who are sexually harassing you, or that person is even, let's say, a subordinate to the overall boss that is harassing you. So if the subordinates and the boss, can you handle your boss case? So imagine you are my boss, our overall boss, and the department that is set to handle sexual harassment cases, the leader is under you, he's your subordinate. Do you think it's so easy for him to handle your case?
Yeah, I get your point. It's not that easy. Yeah, it's not that easy. So education should come in. People should be educated. But also, my recommendation still stands that there should be an office like that. So the workers or female workers should be encouraged to say some of the things that they think they are not comfortable with. Yeah. So yeah, I think we should sensitize them so that they can be able to come out with some of this issue. Yeah, and also because this is an emerging issue, a lot of females are ignorant, and even those who know are also scared, like what you were saying. They are scared to say some of these things.
Yeah.
And even some of the males also think that it is the attitudes of the females that make them take advantage of them. So education, gradual education, sensitization will help. Yeah.
So I think I agree with my brother. Education. Most people don't know that when you pass comment about, a lady's body, they are probably they are, is it their breasts, their body parts, and all. The very moment you pass a comment and it's not welcoming, and the person says stop, you have to stop. The very moment you don't stop and you continue, that also constitutes to sexual harassment. But a lot of people don't know that. So this evening, this afternoon, this morning, my brother is just telling us that what we have to educate. These things are becoming too much. Don't give yourself, to sexual harassment because you need a job. Because the world is just a global village. You do that with your boss, you go across the world, and you realize that at the end, the person you even want to marry is your boss's son. What do? So please, let's try to report these cases. We shouldn't be ashamed when those things happen. Let's come out boldly and report. And ladies, let's support ourselves. So that as soon as we report these cases, when we start reporting, when we start educating, I think this case of sexual harassment will come to an end. So do you have any final?
Yeah, my final comment is so at the workplace, there's an agreement between the employers and the workers called the collective bargaining agreement. So issues of sexual harassment should be included in the collective bargaining agreement so that when such issue come, people know what to do. So that you don't think that because this is your boss and the person is harassing you sexually, you can't report because it's in the collective agreement. So you are aware of it. You know what to do when such issues come. So I'll encourage trade unions leaders that when they go for negotiations, they should include sexual harassment issues, not just wages and maternity
leave and all that.
We should also include issues of sexual harassment.
Yes, so we are supposed to say no to sexual harassment. Thank my brother so much for sharing his thoughts. Thank you so much, brother Obed. All right. Hello, so we are still on the topic sexual harassment in the workplace, and I'm honored to have one of my brothers, also a unionist, to talk about sexual harassment. He is brother Eben. So my brother, thank you for, accepting to grant us this interview.
Thank you for the opportunity as well.
Yeah, that is fine. So when it comes to sexual harassment, what are your thoughts?
All right, so basically sexual harassment is it's something which persists in our workplace, in our communities, and a whole lot of places, which is affecting our women especially. It's the women who are mostly affected, but it isn't only them, but again to some young guys are also affected with the issue of sexual harassment. So it's a phenomenon which it's very difficult for one to boldly come out and say that I've been harassed sexually. And so the victims keep it within them, and it affects them emotionally and psychologically. And so I'm very happy that you've come out with such a very interesting topic for us to deliberate on it and find pragmatic ways of addressing the issue of sexual harassment, both in our workplace. I believe since we are unionists, we want to limit the debate or the discussion, the perspective of our workplace. So it's something which is happening in our workplace where you have some bosses sexually abusing young ladies especially. Even women, those who are even married, they are even sexually abused by their bosses. It isn't only women, like I said, but even young guys, young boys, either at the workplace or wherever they find themselves, they could be harassed. It could be from the opposite side. So you could find a man harassing a lady at the workplace. On the other hand, you can find a woman also harassing a young guy or a guy at the workplace. So it comes in various forms. It comes in the form of even people demanding for sexual favor or even sending nude pictures to them, either the guy sending it or even the lady sending it. So it comes in various forms, and I think it's something which we seriously have to look at it.
Okay, but don't you think that our culture also plays a part in victims not being able to report this sexual harassment? Because you and I know that in the Western world, these things are very easy to report. They are able to report this, the victims or the perpetrators are, dealt with. But in our part of the world, it's like everybody is scared. So if it happens to me, I'll just keep quiet on it. I can't even confide in a friend, because when I do that, people will paint different pictures of me. Is it because of where we find ourselves?
Well, I agree with you perfectly that when you look at the jurisdiction that we find ourselves as Africans, and for that matter, as Ghanaians, our culture is so embedded in us that it makes it very difficult for someone to boldly come out and say that I've been sexually abused. When you look at where we happen to find ourselves in our communities, even if somebody comes out, if you're a guy and come out and say that, oh, this lady has sexually abused me or is sending nude pictures to me, your friends, your peers will even laugh at you. They'll mock at you. Oh, you've gotten lady admiring you and you are there. You understand? That is one cultural thing which is affecting or making victims very difficult to come out and boldly say it. With regards to our young women who are mostly sexually abused or harassed, it is very difficult for them to boldly come out and say that I've been sexually abused. You understand? The cultural setting, you understand, it makes it very difficult, and so the young lady will not be able to come because culturally, you wouldn't find them being bold enough to come and say that, oh, I've been sexually harassed, or I'm being harassed by my boss or my superior. It is because of the culture set in which we happen to find ourselves. It is embedded in us. It's something which has been with us for a very long time, and so it is that which is contributing significantly for our young women, our young ladies. They coming out boldly to say that, oh, I've been harassed, I've been sexually harassed. So I agree with you perfectly that the culture setting of where we happen to find ourselves is playing a drastic role in this issue.
Okay, so as a vice chair of National Youth or TUC, that is Trade Union Congress, the youth branch, as a vice chair, meaning that you're also responsible for all workers, the youth across the country, and we all know that the victims of this sexual harassment are the youth. What are you doing? What are your roles? What are you people doing? The labor front, what are you all doing so that we can come together to fight this cause of sexual harassment?
Thank you very much, my sister. Sexual harassment is an offense. It's a criminal offense. And so if you are there and any person harasses you, be it at the workplace or wherever you happen to find yourself, you need to ensure that you report it to the appropriate quarters. And where do you have to report it? The Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service is there. And so immediately you find yourself being harassed by anyone, do not sit down. The intent alone, if somebody even has the intent, has not even come to touch any parts of your body, but rather even if you see that his actions and inactions are something which are very suspicious, you need to quickly go and report it to the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. That's the DOVSU of the Ghana Police Service. That is one thing which we should not underestimate it. Let's go and report it. So it's a criminal offense, like I was saying, so that suspect, the one you are alleging that is harassing you sexually, could be called to book. You understand? So it's something which we should not downplay that. And again, obviously, we were asking what, as a youth vice chairman of the National Youth Council of the TUC, what we are doing. We are doing a lot, and that's why we continue to do a lot of campaign for our young workers. You understand? So we do that by educating them as to the causes of sexual harassment, and again to some of the effects and how you can prevent it. You understand? There are so many ways, like I mentioned. If you see that somebody is advancing, is making advancement on you and you are not comfortable with it, quickly you have to report it to the appropriate quarters. And again, even if it's not the police that you report it to, you can seek somebody who is at least old enough to counsel that person so that that person will stop that advancement. Like I said, again, to constant education, sensitization on some of these issues. I believe that that's one of the ways that we can help in addressing the issue of sexual harassment. Again, currently or recently, we saw that the International Labour Organization, ILO, has come out or has ratified a convention on sexual harassment, which is very significant. And so we are going to consistently call on our government, yes, to make sure that at least they rectify it's embedded in our laws as well, even though per the criminal offences act, portion of or provisions of that law has something to do with that. But again, if it becomes part of it, then the enforcement becomes very easy for the police to do that and the court system to do that. And so from the labor background or the labor front, we will continue to champion, to educate our members so that they will know that this and that are the causes of sexual harassment. This and that are the effects. How do you address it? That is the ways of preventing it. We will sensitize our members. We will give them the necessary directions. We will continue to encourage them that they should be bold enough to come and report people who perpetrate such violence against them. They are not good for the society, and so they need to be brought to book.
Yeah, I think, yes, he has said it all. So we need to report all those, who cause. A lot of people don't even know that when you touch someone and the person is not comfortable with it and the person says, I don't like that, it contributes to sexual harassment. I actually have a lot of friends who always have issues when they touch me. I always tell them, don't touch me. And they keep doing that. I always tell them that's a sexual harassment. But they just make mockery of it and laugh. But then the Western world, they don't take these things lightly.
Of course.
Okay, so I think it's high time we have to stop this. And I think our ladies, especially in Ghana, they are at a disadvantage because most of our youth do not have jobs. So now when they want jobs, sometimes you have to give yourself just for it to get job. But the question is, if you give yourself at the point of recruitment, meaning for the rest of your working life in that organization, you are going to be sexually abused by your boss or by that person who gave you that job. So please, it's high time we say no to sexual harassment. Any final words?
Well, my final words will be especially goes to the young workers, as we have always championed, or we continue to champion for them, that they should be bold enough to report such acts. They should be bold enough. They should not sit idle. And if you suspect that your boss at the workplace is advancing or making advancements and you are not comfortable with it, be bold enough to report such a person. Again, let's continue to ensure that we do not undermine the spirit of those who come out and report such cases. Mostly we people come and blow the whistle that, oh, this person has been sexually abused or is being harassed. Then it gets to the entire community, or it gets to the entire workplace or the employees there, and so that person psychologically or emotionally is not well, it's not fine. And that is one thing which is making it very difficult for people who are sexually harassed, you understand, to really come out and say it. And to the authorities as well, I want to say that if anybody comes there, someone who has been sexually harassed, who has been raped,
They should help.
You should help. You need to give guidance, counseling, the necessary assistance that person requires. You need to ensure that you give to the people. Again, to continue to do education for our members, like I said earlier on, so that they will be bold enough to come and report people who perpetrate, or people who have those intentions, people who continue to do those, I want to use evil acts because it's evil. You understand? So let's make sure that we report such people to the appropriate quarters, and let's keep ourselves safe in our workplace. Let's do all that we can to protect our young ladies, young gentlemen. That is the only way we will increase productivity. If that person has a sound mind, he or she will be able to help in increasing productivity. And so I'm grateful to you for the opportunity granted to me to speak on this very important issue with respect to sexual harassment.
Thank you very much, Brother Eben, for sharing your thoughts, sending your comments, and send in your questions. Thank you so much.
Stop sexual harassment now!
Thank you so much for watching my videos. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And watch out for more update videos. God bless you.